Hello, Boon. Hello, Tor.
Hey.
Hi, Wei. Hi, Tor.
Okay, sound check. So sound works. James Brown told me that he will be back in about 5 minutes. So we actually have a bit of time to chat about weather and stuff. What's the protocol? First the weather, right?
It's always the weather.
Yeah, how's it in Denmark?
We had like a lot of warm weather the last couple of weeks, but this week it's getting cold and rainy again. Like we're back to normal summer weather, which is, you know, like 18 degrees and cloudy and rainy.
Perfect for cryptographer.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, it's so good here, sunny here. I didn't have time to ride horse. But other than that, the horse is just eating grass all day. Yeah, and in Singapore, everything's good.
Hottest as usual.
Oh yeah, of course. Since we have about 4 minutes until James Brown joins, and I think it's important that he joins, can we just review the concept of token negotiation if that has not been discussed with you before? Actually, this is an age-old concept. It's also one of the things that there was creation of the early tokenization experiment of the bank, where we set up scenarios where multiple tokens can be used at the same time, and therefore comes the need for token negotiation. I refined it, of course, after having left the bank, because back in the bank, nobody cared about the web application. So it was token negotiation on the business level, on the business application level, not on the web. So I passed an article to Tor, introduction article, which said things that I think Boon already know. But nevertheless, if we're waiting, I'll send forward a copy to Boon and Simon, okay?
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I think Tor forwarded it to me.
Oh yeah, that's nice. I only need to forward it to Boon. Sunil has a copy early when I write the draft for his review. So 1, 2, 3. Now it's gone. Okay, so Boon, can you see that in the email?
Hey, Webu, sorry to interrupt, really quickly. Do you think that, you can do the meeting straight after this at 8 p.m. or should I reschedule it?
Oh, you mean the meeting with the right?
Yeah.
Yes, we should do this right after this meeting.
Okay, cool. All right, thank you. Yes.
Thank you. So have a read as we wait. Let's wait another 2 minutes for James Brown. If you have questions, you can ask me about the article.
Is your point in the article, are you trying to say that we should not have universal login? Or are you saying that universal login is not necessary?
Oh, it's just a teaser. It's just that for someone who is interested in the universal login, I can bring his attention back to token. So my point being that the interaction in the future would be tokens with websites, and authentication mechanism is embedded. So universal login has two parts. First is the universal, defined by having one key, and you can use that login to all the websites. Of course, you cannot use the same key, otherwise, your access becomes linkable. So they have to be key derivation, but the idea is the same. And the second being login, which means you can use that key authentication, and since you have a key, you can authenticate. Since you can authenticate, you can log in. Therefore, not having to do with password.
I think I missed a part of it. You're saying that you don't have to deal with password. Are you saying that that's no good, or are you saying that that's not a problem?
Oh, so the okay. So number one, universal login has two parts. The universal part is one key opens every door, logs in every website, and number two is that the login process does not require password. So that's just the definition of universal login, to my understanding. There are a few such projects. Most of them are based on Ethereum private key public key. And your question is whether or not this thing is not needed. I said that we should not be focusing on the login part, because if you use a token, authentication is embedded. Also using the key, also using the same universal login mechanism, but that's not where the focus should be, because in the process where you use necessarily need to log in. So the process of login is not just authenticate; it binds you to a identifier, right?
Yes.
Okay, so if you use a token, that token is the identifier. So you can say, in this example, I used 5 different tokens. Therefore, there's no login happening, because there's no identifier that represents me as a user. Or you can see that login actually happened 5 times. But it's saying that is a little bit of counterintuitive, because login only happens once typically.
Right, but I wonder if login or universal login is important because it lets the system talk to existing non-blockchain based system.
I lost one word. So can you say that again?
I'm saying I wonder if universal login or just login in general is useful to look at, because it allows us to bridge to non-blockchain systems.
Oh yeah. So I'm not advising like let's get rid of login. I'm just trying to use that as a teaser to take people to the so you can make one of them as login if you want to, just because people like to use the concept login of the following tokens: the amazing bundle token, the proof of age, the gamer credit token, and yeah, actually I made only 4 in this example. The most suitable token as a login, if you want to return the login concept to the user, is probably the first. It's all up to the website. If they want, then login becomes a concept that is not about web authentication, but about user experience.
Yes. Yes, but generally I think it's important. It's still important because it might not be necessary in a pure blockchain world. But the problem is to drive such a adoption of such a solution, we need to start from somewhere.
Oh yes, I would envision that we will not touch login at all. Every website will have to be compatible with non-blockchain users. So they always will have a login system with username and password. Let's not touch it. Let's simply add token negotiation. In this story, in this game story, let's say Green Gamer. Green Gamer is an online game store. Let's say user already use Green Gamer username and password to log in, but they can still use the amazing bundle token or proof of age token.
Okay. Oh, James is here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hi.
Yeah. James, so thank you. We've been waiting for you in a bit. Sorry, for a bit. Let me share the thing. This is a modified example to be compatible with token negotiation from the previous example that we discussed in the last TokenScript meeting. The previous meeting was about how to build a website that has a token card and a token action in it. Recall that, James?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's the same website. And also, just like the previous website, we need to be aware that the website may or may not be built by the token issuer. So this website has so I imagine that there will be two negotiation mechanisms, either automatic negotiation or like a JavaScript controlled negotiation. This one is the simpler one. This one is the automatic negotiation. So observe that in the beginning, as usual, the website provided TokenScript, and then it has a declaration of what token is accepted. If you want to, you can do a filter. Yeah, if you want to, you can do a filter, but it's not required. And then then we go to also that providing TokenScript when you use TokenScript on the web, it's not required that you provide the TokenScript file. There are a lot of reasons for this, and I'll just skip this for now. And then we have the 10th line, the title, of course, and then we have the bootstrap.js. Bootstrap.js is only at work if the browser doesn't have a TokenScript engine. Then we have the actual JavaScript. So the actual JavaScript is between 18 and 27. So first there is a tokens.onActivate, which is a event, and that event has a function corresponding to it, and that function gets a token, which is the result of the activated token. So if you okay, it's difficult to focus. My daughter is learning violin. Mm-hmm. Okay, so yes. So automatic negotiation, meaning that since this web page already declared what token it is interested in, let's first assume there is a TokenScript engine. The engine would interpret which token is needed and check if the user's wallet has the corresponding token. If the user have two such tokens, then the wallet will provide a list for user to choose. And if there's only one token, the wallet probably will ask a question whether or not you want to activate this token on this web page. This is very similar to the process where you go to a website and it want to send you a notification and ask you if you want to receive notification in the future, or that if you go to a website and like Google Map and it asks you whether or not you want to grant the permission to access geographical location. So if the user choose yes, or in the case of more than one tokens, choose one token, then the tokens onActivate event is triggered, and token is passed into the function. And in the line 19, you create a new token view. So it's not sure, it's not always the case that you want to do this, but in this case, we want to do this. Sometimes you can skip creating token view at all. And the next line is where the token view is rendered under a card container element. The next one is where the enter button here, which is enter is the action of the entry token, has the corresponding JavaScript event linked to it. And here are the the relevant code to do when the enter action is executed. So this is a very simple structure. One note is that this kind of style requires the possibility of injecting a tokens object before the document is loaded. That is, this assumes it's possible to inject it even in the header, like here, before everything else. Otherwise, you get an object not found. So alternative way to do that is to add a non-existing listener called window.onTokenNegotiated instead of tokens.onActivate. And this will not create an object not found error. This is the first thing to note. And the second thing is, if the user's browser does not have a TokenScript engine, then the relevant code in TokenScript.bootstrap.js will look for user's address. So far we're talking about the case where the user has the token. The case the token is someone else's token is going to be discussed in a separate meeting. Then this bit of JavaScript is able to first find the user's Ethereum address. That might trigger the browser to ask user to choose an address if the user has multiple. Then the script will interpret the TokenScript. This JavaScript, Bootstrap JavaScript, will interpret TokenScript and find out if user have the corresponding tokens and ask if the user wants to use that token in the dialog inside the web view. And if there are more than one, this JavaScript will also ask user to choose one. And then it will go look for onActivate event and pass that token as an object. So that's the second thing to note. I guess that's the only two things to note. Yeah. Make sense so far?
I think it makes sense, but how would the browser be able to? How would the JavaScript be able to see the Ethereum the addresses?
Oh, so
if there is no is there required a plugin in the browser to be able to do that?
Oh,
because
so
the site would not be able to see it.
For this example to work, a user must have a browser that is plugged to Ethereum.
Okay.
But the user may or may not have a browser that is plugged to the Ethereum and have a TokenScript engine.
Okay. So it's required that it's
this one kicks in. But if TokenScript engine, then you run the TokenScript engine. Simon, just to provide background, the engine is needed because otherwise it would be an entirely JavaScript implementation. But the engine is needed. For example, if you want to create a proof of age, then you want to do this in a separate area than the website.
Yeah, I understand that. But I did not understand how. So the browser must be Ethereum enabled, at least.
Yes. Yesterday, last week, I was in a panel discussion with the CEO of a company called Portis, and they have a in-browser implementation wallet. I don't know if it makes sense now to implement that, but that provides an alternative of browser plugged into Ethereum. So in their implementation, the key is stored in cookie, not the safest place to keep a key. And then they always send forward the Ethereum related queries back to their server, which is connected to Ethereum. So if we consider that, we might have implementation that doesn't even require a Ethereum connected browser. But that's not for today. Yeah.
I see.
Actually, I was expecting a hailstorm of questions. So, James, did this make sense to you, James?
Well, at a abstract level, it does. Yes. I mean, I'd want to see what was inside that TokenScript bootstrap.js.
Oh, okay. So I can go over it because that's the topic of the next meeting right after this one.
Oh, okay.
I may prepare myself to talk.
That's okay. I can wait till then.
I mean, the next meeting, meaning literally next, like right after this meeting, 8 o'clock, there's another meeting with Oleg where I explain what's in the bootstrap.
Okay. With the
you're not invited in that meeting to save your time. So so I can actually do a short run here. Yeah. Okay. Make sense for you?
Yes.
Okay. So first, deploy TokenScript in the web like this is optional. Only if you don't care about the users who don't have a TokenScript compatible browser.
Sure.
If you have you want to cater the user who don't have TokenScript enabled browser, then you have to deploy TokenScript on the web like this.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. The other question that I was thinking of is this slightly below. You've got token card equals new token view. So I'm guessing this is something that is a new section inside TokenScript.
Actually, this has nothing to do with TokenScript, but no change to TokenScript.
Okay.
So token view is simply a token card. I probably can see a token card here, just to make it more clearer, I think.
Okay. But then how does it know which one to I presume it just goes straight for the view rather than the item view.
Yes.
It's just hard coded to that.
Yes. So you have you have a token card, and you can here do a render. Alternatively, yeah, something like this.
Okay.
Maybe, yeah. Or yeah, this is a not set in stone. So did you have the question of how the token object is obtained?
I'm guessing that hang on. Well, token is usually from, yeah, it's from the React above it, isn't it? The token.on activate. You're passing it in from there.
Oh, yes. Yes.
So either the wallet or the TokenScript bootstrap is creating that. Yeah.
Yes. It's through a negotiation. The negotiation is simply a fancy word to say, in this case, to say that the screen pops up the list of entry tokens and say if you want to use one of them on this website.
Yeah.
And this is an automatic negotiation. If you do a manual one, I don't know if I have a manual one. No, I don't have a manual one example here. If you do a JavaScript conducted negotiation, you will need an object called negotiator. You will need to start like something like this, which is injected, and that allows you to do things. For example, if you have an application where you can bundle a lot of tickets into a ticket bundle. So imagine that 5 ticket tokens goes in, and one ticket bundle token comes out. Then you will need a negotiator because this is not automatically negotiated, because it's not the website says that, okay, I'm interested in the tickets you have, FIFA ticket or whatever. But it's like you get a container and you get a plus button. Every time when you click plus button, the JavaScript inside will ask if the user can provide one more token, so that in the end, all the tokens can be bundled together. If that's the case, you need a negotiator object to go between the token selecting interface and the website that uses obtains the token object.
Okay.
But this one is automatic. So in case of automatic negotiation, I simply say that the negotiation is here.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I can see how the wallet would produce that, would produce a list from that.
Yeah, and maybe ask users to select. If the user, if the negotiation is not automatic, then you simply delete line 6, and then you start using negotiator and call for negotiate, like you probably will do this instead. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Any other comments? I'm going to go down this road, please.
What's the benefit of line 6 over 31?
Line 6 over 31. That is less thing for the developers to learn, and the possibility of knowing what tokens will be used on the website from the search engine perspective.
But isn't line 6 and line 31 pretty much the same?
Well, so
why does the developer learn less?
Pardon me?
Why do you seem to suggest that with line 6 the developer needs to learn less? It looks mostly the same.
So so let me write the code with line 31. You need document unload, something like this, because you need to have a place triggered. Checking this is always needed, but it's not really a burden. Oh, I just copy this. Yeah, so that would be the this is also what you have in mind, right?
Yes.
Okay, so argument is that you have one more function layer and one more object. So I hope there is a way to make JavaScript developers really doesn't have to learn anything. They just need to know they want to use a token, and they can learn it like in, let's say, in 3 or 5 minutes, that how to interact with a token. Yeah, and I think this might be popular too. But automatic negotiation also have the advantage that you can index what token is relevant to you. So imagine you have a future version of Google, which knows what token you have in your wallet. Then it might, if you search for a game, it might give you the website that is compatible with your subscription token.
Okay.
But I know you can spam it. So yeah, how good it will work, I'm not sure. So
the second version has a few benefits.
So let me copy this thing over. Yeah. Is it correct? No, we missed one thing. So I think the second version is longer than the first, and I don't want to give web developers a reason to say like, hey, I'm not comfortable with this.
But the second version has a few benefits. Because when you talk about learning, both versions requires the developer to copy 1 or 2 lines for token negotiation. The other thing is, it seems like the second version is easier to debug.
Easier to debug.
Third is debug, step through it with a debugger. Yes, and the third is you can put a condition on when you want to start this process.
Of course, that's not avoidable. It's it's impossible to replace to completely replace line 6, because you always have the situation where you want to dynamically negotiate something. So I just provide an example where you want to have a ticket bundle. Then you might want to use a plus button to ask for a new ticket to be supplied.
It might be more common than we think. Some developers, web developers, like to write SPAs, single page applications. So basically they load the HTML once and then inject additional HTML and JavaScript for the entire application.
Yeah. It is the case, but you have to ask if a website that uses a token must be an application. So one of the
websites are applications.
Well, if websites are applications strictly, then we shouldn't be seeing anyone using HTML anymore. So let's say, or do you think that the trend is going towards that direction?
Seems to be, because you just did 1 or 2 major frameworks to do it that way. Then users of that framework will need to support this. We need to use this second approach.
And how do they provide, let's say if Amazon is a content website as well as application. If it's built with a single JavaScript line, I think this is a little bit off topic, but if it's done so, how does Google search for content? You just have the special interface or the HTML page generated for Google.
Sorry, can you repeat your question?
So let's say Amazon. If Amazon is not using HTML, how does it provide content to Google?
You mean how do they make their website searchable?
Yeah, yes.
You still can generate unique URLs when the Google spider hits the website.
So make a separate interface for Google and for JavaScript.
No, you don't have to. One way is that's actually not allowed by Google. But one thing is, the other way is even with this architecture I described, you can still modify your URLs even though you don't reload your entire HTML page.
Can I try to close this because this is a little bit off topic?
Yes.
Can I close
Yes.
this with the following thinking from me that maybe in the future no one will need HTML and they will just create DOM objects on the fly with JavaScript. But I'm not betting the success of our technology on that future. We may or may not be correct. So I hope there are two ways to do that.
Sure.
Does that so the concept is not really new actually. In 2008, I think was a time when people believed that 2008 was the time when HTML5 goes out, and one of the major reasons HTML5 dislike W3's approach of using XHTML was that XHTML tries to view web page as the information set, and HTML5 also see it as the information set, but more in the application front. And that was hugely welcome because 2008 was the year where people start to see web as applications. And many people believed that in the future HTML will simply be a in-memory object manipulated by JavaScript. It didn't happen today. It maybe will happen 5 years later, but let's not bet our future on that. We won't have 3 minutes more. Can we? Is this the? Do you have any other questions? I might go down this rabbit hole through this approach. So if you see something I'm doing wrong, this is probably the moment to remind me, because this is still incomplete.
Yes, sure. Go ahead.
Actually, I finished. I mean, if there are any other questions. Otherwise, there are two minor topics that I can exclude from today's meeting. I just want to make sure that this is well discussed. Yeah.
No, we can move on.
Okay. So we have 4 minutes, so maybe I can insert one topic in it. That is, you know that we have views currently that allows 3 elements, which is script, style, and body, right? Hello?
What's the first one?
So currently view allows 3 elements. One is script, the other is view, the third is link, right?
Yes.
Okay, link to style sheet. So, and you know that we wanted to have a manifest support, which is the capacity to link other resources. And instead of embedding them into HTML, into XML, refer to them by their digest. This has been going on for a long time, but we haven't get around to do that. But I'm thinking of simply making view a HTML container. So in the future, you can put anything that is allowed in HTML inside it. Basically, you can refer to a element, a HTML file in the view, or you can embed it, or you can refer to it. But I think most people will choose to refer to it, and it will be a complete HTML file that you can open with the header and body stuff.
When you say that, does it?
Pardon?
Sorry, go.
The advantage being that it's easier to refer to a external resource as HTML. And if they want to share the JavaScript code inside each HTML file, they can still do so by a second layer of link inside the HTML files if they want to share the same JavaScript or style sheet. And And such HTML file would require integrity, which can be done automatically. Yeah.
When you say an entire HTML file, are you saying that includes the HTML tag as well as the head tag?
Yes, it includes the HTML tag in the beginning of the file. So there's a pattern. There's a pattern here. Maybe I can show it in here. Maybe this is a file. I can show it. Okay. So there's a pattern that you can do things like this. There's a pattern in XML that is you can do something. Input equals to input ref equals to ID, or you can do something input. Okay, so you can choose either to use this or use this. So in our case, it will be view HTML equals to view content ref equals to ID, or you can do view yeah, like oh, so your HTML head body, something like this. If you use the syntax 61, the actual place where it is defined will have the digest.
Are you talking about when you say views? Are you referring to both token views, item views, and activities?
Yeah, any view.
Okay.
Of course, if someone wants a JavaScript version, they can simply create a HTML that only has one line, which is referred to the JavaScript. And this time they don't have to worry about Google compatibility.
Generally, this might work, but because of how it's implemented, for example, item views, does it mean that there's some dependency on the implementation? For item views, basically we have a list of items. Does it mean that we have to restrict it to one web view per item?
That's an interesting question. I guess we talk about it second time in the meeting. We're almost running out of time. That's a valid concern. Thank you. I don't have a straight answer to that.
Yeah, you're just noting it down, right? So one more point is, if the developer is allowed to provide the complete HTML file, we probably need to verify this, but I think it will be really difficult to figure out where to inject things like a wrapper container or things like the necessary TokenScript functions into the DOM.
Yes, so the difficulty is injecting needed library into a list of HTML pages, which themselves can already be fed.
Yes. The implementation we have right now is much easier because we just wrap it around the content which they provide.
Yes, and also the current structure can be entirely fitted into a div. So current structure is view, script, style, and stuff. So the whole thing can be fitted in the div because in HTML5, it's possible to define styles and scripts inside div, where previously they have to be in head. So there are arguments to be made that maybe we should use we should treat views and item views differently. So that's what you think, right?
Yes, but then that introduces some inconsistency.
Yeah, yeah. And I will.
But what's the rationale for?
Pardon me?
For doing this? What's the rationale for trying to allow developers to specify an entire HTML page?
Well, the first is developer comfort. Previously, if we allow segments like SHTML, I heard resistance from Sangali and Sangali's developers. And the second being that it kind of allow the number of references to be smaller, which might be an implementation issue. So right now we refer to scripts and styles in different places and probably HTML, so there are 3 references per view. It might becomes 1 reference. If there's 1 reference, the web developers will be able to use the tools they are comfortable with in order to debug multiple views at one time. And thirdly, there's a very small argument to be made in your favor, actually. That a while ago, you were against adding a new type of view called guide or help. But if you allow HTML, you can simply add a help reference in the header, which will be handled by, depending on the browser. So HTML5 allows every web page to provide a help link that users who are confused click that link, then they will see another web page that explains the current web page. We can reuse that instead of adding a guide view, which you always objected, remember?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I can write the list down. We don't have to decide this today. This is just one of the half topic that I can insert in today's meeting. If you have you can stay here if you like. I'm going to stay here until the next meeting begin. You can come back and keep asking questions on this one. Whoever wants to leave can leave now. I will leave this window open so you can shoot questions.
Okay, I think I'm gonna leave. Thanks for the meeting. See you guys.
Thank you, Tor.
Bye.
This the negotiator that you have there. If this is, let's say I'm running. Let's say they don't have the selection filter that you have at the top, and they're just using this negotiate method. When this is running inside the wallet, do we hook that method and then provide it from inside the wallet itself? I'm guessing that we would do.
Negotiator is either provided by bootstrap.js or by TokenScript engine injected.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. So basically, it's going to, yeah, but it has to pass through the wallet though. If it's running, say if this is running on a wallet, then there's got to be some kind of engine happening that queries the wallet. But does the code go through the wallet, or does it? Would you have a bunch of JavaScript that has some standard interface?
I don't know. I want to first find out which is the way that we can sell to web developers.
Okay.
And then backfill the thing.
Okay.
Unless
that's a logical approach. Okay. Yeah. Got it.
Unless there's a showstopper, which is like this case. Like what if we cannot inject at all a object before the window is loaded?
Yeah.
Then we have to fall back like this.
Okay.
And the negotiator, as I explained, you cannot skip negotiator. What if the developer chooses to build a website that has only one page? Then you will not be able to change the, you will not be able to start a new negotiation on a different page. So if you say that the checkout is done by a special page, then the checkout page can declare that they are interested in some payment tokens, and that's all good. But if the guy decided to write the shopping cart system where checkout is in the same web page as the listing of products, then without negotiator, it will not be able to ask for a payment token during checkout.
Yes, or maybe if you look at line 34, the words entry token, or even, or the filter itself, that might be a parameter, a variable.
Yeah, yeah. So it's not possible to do away negotiator, but it's possible to do away the declaration like 6. But I would prefer 6 to be there because I hope it reduces the learning curve for some developers and makes token an integral part of search engine enabled ecosystem.
Okay.
Despite all of the one-page JavaScript thing, we still don't see an e-commerce website that use one JavaScript. We only see Gmail does that. WooCommerce doesn't do that. Amazon doesn't do that.
React.js is one page.
Yes, Facebook does that. Facebook is one page, but there is not a e-commerce website that uses it. I mean, they do use React component. They don't do away the HTML. So let's not be the leader of the change. I mean, let's not be the leader of the change of taking web to from an info system to a application system. If that happens, we will accept it. But let's not take risk on 2 fronts. Okay, so yeah.
Yes, okay, sounds good.
Good. Okay, 3 minutes to go for the next meeting. Let me check.
Okay, thank you guys.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
If you have any questions, if you think this is not right, just tell me earlier, because the next few weeks I will be focusing on this. And then, yeah, just send me a message anytime.
Okay.
My only thought is we have to support line 34.
Of course, there's no way we can get rid of it.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Okay. I'm going to get going too. So talk to you later.
Talk later.